Hello, everyone. Welcome to James and Elena's English Chat, the podcast where we learn English together through real everyday stories. I'm your host, James.
And I'm Elena. It's so nice to be sitting here with you today, James. How are you feeling this morning?
Honestly, a little bit tired. My dog decided that 5 a.m. was the perfect time to play hide and seek with my socks. I'm still trying to figure out where he put the left one.
Oh, I feel you. My cat does something similar. She doesn't hide socks, but she stares at me until I wake up. I'm still trying to get used to her early morning schedule.
It's tough, but instead of reading the news and feeling stressed this morning, I just sat with my coffee and looked out the window. I didn't want to catch up on all the negative stories in the world today. I just needed a breath of fresh air.
That's a perfect way to put it, James. And that is actually our topic for today. We're talking about small wins, those tiny, positive things that make your day better. How about you, listeners? Do you have any small wins today?
I hope so. Now, just a quick reminder for our friends listening. This episode is designed for B1 and B2 learners. That's the intermediate level.
If you don't catch every word, that's totally okay. Please don't worry. Just relax and listen. You will learn more just by hearing the rhythm of the conversation.
Exactly. So here is our roadmap for the day. First, we're going to share some stories about our own lives and how we find joy in the little things. While we talk, I want you to listen for how we use natural phrasal verbs.
And at the end of the episode, we'll visit my vocabulary corner. I'll explain the most useful phrases we used so you can start using them in your own English conversations.
It's going to be a good one. Oh, and before we really start, we have a tiny favor to ask. If you enjoy learning with us, please like and subscribe. It helps us keep making these free episodes for you.
It really does. Thank you. So, James, tell me more about your morning. Did you eventually find that sock?
I did. I had to look under the sofa. But the real win was that my wife made the coffee before she left for work. Usually I have to do it myself, but today it was just waiting there. It felt like a little gift.
That is a lovely small win. For me, the win was the walk here to the studio. I didn't run into any traffic at all. Usually the main road is so loud and busy, but today it was quiet. I even had a moment to look at the flowers in my neighbor's garden.
That sounds so peaceful. I usually give up on having a quiet morning because my house is so loud with the dog running around, but maybe I should try your walking route.
You should. It really sets the tone for the rest of the day. But you know, James, when people think of good news, they often think of something huge, like winning the lottery or getting a massive promotion.
Exactly, like my cousin. He's always getting a new job or buying a fancy car. It makes me feel like my day is a bit boring if the only highlight is finding my lost sock.
But that's the thing. A good day doesn't have to be life-changing. I was thinking about this earlier while I was looking at the garden. It reminded me of being a child. Do you remember that feeling when the alarm didn't go off because it was a snow day?
Oh man, I loved that. You wake up, it's completely silent outside, and then you find out school is canceled. That was the ultimate win. You didn't have to show up for class, and you could just stay in your pajamas all day.
Exactly. It felt like a little gift from the universe. And even as adults, we still have those moments. They are just smaller. Have you ever put on a winter coat for the first time in months and come across a $5 bill in the pocket?
That is the best feeling. It's like past James gave a present to future James. I actually found some money in my kitchen drawer last week while I was trying to figure out where I put my spare keys. It was only a few coins, but it honestly made me smile for an hour.
It's those tiny things that build a good day. It's like a puzzle. You don't need one giant piece. You just need a lot of small, colorful ones. How about you, listeners? Can you remember a time you found something you forgot you had? Maybe a hidden chocolate bar?
Oh, a hidden chocolate bar. That's the dream. But seriously, I think we sometimes look forward to the weekend so much that we forget to enjoy a random Tuesday morning. We wait for big good news and ignore the tiny good news.
I agree. My husband is actually very good at this. He can spend an hour just watching a bird in the garden and say, "That was a great afternoon." At first, I didn't really understand it, but now I'm starting to get used to that slower pace.
I really need to learn how to do that. I'm usually too busy running around after my dog or worrying about what my neighbor thinks of my messy lawn.
Well, maybe the anatomy of a good day is just noticing those moments when they happen, instead of letting them pass you by.
That's so true, Elena, but I have to admit, it's hard to notice the good stuff when things are going wrong. I'm usually so stressed when I travel, for example. I'm always checking my watch or worrying that I left the oven on at home.
I'm the same way. But actually something happened last year that changed how I look at those stressful moments. I was traveling for a long work trip, and honestly, I was having a miserable time. My flight was delayed, I couldn't sleep, and I was really starting to feel lonely.
Oh, I've been there. You just want to be back on your own sofa with a cup of tea. Did you end up coming home early?
I couldn't. I had to stay. But on the third day, I was going through the mail at the small guest house where I was staying. Among all the local flyers, there was a postcard. It had a beautiful hand-painted sunset on the front. The paper felt thick and expensive, almost like fabric.
A postcard? That's a bit old-fashioned, isn't it? Was it from your husband?
That's the mystery. There was no name on it. It just said, "You are doing better than you think. Enjoy the view." I didn't recognize the handwriting at all.
No way. So a total stranger just sent you a mystery message? That sounds like a movie.
It felt like one. I sat there in the lobby just feeling the texture of the card. It really cheered me up. I went from feeling exhausted to feeling seen, like the world wasn't such a cold place after all.
I love that. It's funny how a tiny piece of paper can carry so much weight. I wonder if I've ever missed something like that because I was too busy looking at my phone or complaining to my wife about the hotel breakfast.
We all do it. But now when I look back on that stressful trip, I don't really remember the delayed flights. I just remember the warmth I felt holding that postcard. It turned out to be the highlight of my whole month.
That is a huge small win. It makes me want to go buy some stamps. How about you, listeners? Have you ever received a surprise in the mail? Maybe a letter or a card that showed up exactly when you needed it?
I'd love to hear those stories. It really shows that you don't need to spend a lot of money to make someone's day. You just need to be a little bit thoughtful.
Speaking of being thoughtful, I think we also need to be a bit more thoughtful toward ourselves. We spend so much time waiting for big good news that we completely ignore our tiny triumphs.
Tiny triumphs? Oh, I love that phrase. It sounds so positive. Do you mean things like finally being able to figure out how to fold a fitted sheet?
Exactly. Or when I actually remember to take the trash out before the truck arrives at my house. That feels like a gold medal moment for me.
It really does. Actually, let's stop for a second. How about you, listeners? What is your tiny triumph this week? Did you finally finish a book you started months ago? Or maybe you just managed to get out of bed on your first alarm? We really want to know what small thing made you feel proud today.
I hope they have some good ones. You know, I had a win last Sunday. I tried to bake a lemon cake. Usually, I'm terrible at baking. I always mess up the measurements, and the cake ends up looking like a flat pancake.
I've seen photos of your cooking, James. It can be a bit of a disaster sometimes.
Hey, be nice. But this time, it was different. I followed the steps carefully, and I didn't give up when the batter looked a bit lumpy. And guess what? It didn't sink in the middle. It wasn't perfect. It was a little bit burnt on the bottom, but it was tall. I was so proud that I immediately took a photo and sent it to my wife.
That's a huge win. Most people only post perfect professional photos on social media, but I think an imperfect success is much more relatable. It's real life.
It felt real to me. I think I enjoyed that burnt cake more than a fancy one from a bakery.
I had a similar moment yesterday. I finally got around to fixing the loose handle on my kitchen cupboard. It's been wobbling for months, and I kept telling my husband I would fix it eventually.
Did you actually fix it yourself, or did you have to call for help?
I did it myself. When I finally heard that click and the handle stayed still, I felt like a professional engineer. It's such a small thing, but now every time I open that cupboard to get a glass of water, I feel a little spark of joy.
I feel you. I think we spend so much energy looking forward to big events like holidays or promotions that we forget these little moments are what actually make up our lives.
It's about catching up with your own small goals. Even if you only learned one new English word today, that is a triumph. You are moving forward.
That's so true. I'm still trying to get used to the idea that good enough is actually pretty great. We don't need to be perfect to have a successful day.
Exactly. It's those small, imperfect steps that lead to the big journeys. And honestly, those are the stories that are the most fun to tell anyway.
Speaking of big journeys, I'm thinking about a trip I took to a tiny village a few years ago. I was trying to find this famous old library, but I completely lost my way. My phone had no signal, and I was just driving around in circles.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. I would have panicked immediately. Did you manage to find someone to help you?
Eventually, yes. I stopped near a small farmhouse, and I ran into an older man who was fixing a fence. I tried to ask for directions, but he didn't speak any English. I was trying to figure out how to explain library using only hand gestures.
I can just imagine you acting out a book in the middle of a field. Did he understand you?
Not at all. But he saw that I looked tired and stressed. He just smiled, pointed at his house, and waved me inside. I ended up sitting at his wooden kitchen table with his wife and their daughter. They didn't know me, but they immediately brought out a pot of tea and some fresh bread.
That is so sweet. It's amazing how food and a warm drink can bridge the gap when you don't speak the same language.
It really does. We spent an hour just smiling and pointing at photos on their wall. I felt so welcome. When I look back on that trip, I don't even remember the library. I just remember that family.
I love that. It's a great reminder that when we come across people in real life, they are usually much kinder than the people we hear about in the news headlines.
Exactly. The news makes it seem like everyone is angry at each other, but my good news was just a cup of tea with a stranger. It makes you realize that human connection is everywhere if you're open to it.
I think we need to get used to the idea that the world isn't as scary as it looks on a screen. How about you, listeners? Have you ever been lost in a foreign place and been helped by a stranger? Was it a scary experience, or did it turn into a small win like James's story?
I really hope they have stories like that. It makes you feel so much better about the world. You know, my neighbor actually does something similar. She always leaves extra vegetables from her garden on people's doorsteps. No note, just free tomatoes.
See? That's exactly what I mean. These small acts of kindness are the real big stories of our lives. We just have to notice them.
You know, Alina, speaking of noticing things, I've been meaning to ask about your indoor garden. Last time we spoke, you were a bit worried about that big green plant in your living room. Is it still alive?
Oh, my fiddly fig. I was really struggling to figure out what it needed. For a while, the leaves were turning brown and falling off. I felt so bad. I almost gave up on it because I thought I just didn't have the magic touch.
I know that feeling. Every time my wife buys a plant for the house, I try to help, but I usually end up making things worse. I think I have a black thumb instead of a green one. I once managed to kill a cactus. A cactus. They barely need any water.
Well, don't feel too bad. My cat once decided my favorite fern was a snack, so I've had my share of disasters too. But guess what? This morning, I was checking the soil, and I saw a tiny, bright green leaf starting to sprout at the top. It was so small, but it looked so healthy.
No way. So it's actually growing back? That's fantastic.
It is. I actually did a little dance in my kitchen. It felt like a reward for all the time I spent trying to keep an eye on the sunlight and the humidity. It's a tiny thing, but it changed my whole mood for the morning.
That's exactly what we were talking about earlier. You're literally growing your own good news right there on your shelf. It's a choice to look at that one new leaf instead of the 3 brown ones that fell off.
Exactly. It's about perspective. How about you, listeners? Do you have any plants at home? Or maybe a hobby that requires a lot of patience, like painting or learning an instrument? Does it feel like a massive win when something finally goes right? We'd love to know.
I think for me, it's not plants. It's more about the house. Like when I finally clear out that junk drawer in the kitchen. It's been full of old batteries and broken pens for years. When I can finally see the bottom of the drawer, it feels like a huge success.
It's very satisfying. We often wait for good news to arrive from the outside, like a letter or a phone call from someone else. But stories like my new leaf or your clean drawer show that we can cultivate it ourselves through simple actions.
I like that. We are the gardeners of our own happiness. I guess I need to get used to looking for those tiny sprouts in my own life, even if they aren't literal plants. It's about showing up and trying, right? That's the spirit.
My husband always says that a garden doesn't grow overnight. You have to show up every day and just do the small, boring things. Eventually, those small things turn out to be the foundation for something beautiful.
I'm going to try that approach today. Maybe I'll start by finally watering that plant my wife left on the balcony. If it survives until our next episode, I'll consider it a major victory.
One step at a time, James. Just don't overwater it this time.
I'll try my best not to. Although, honestly, it's a bit of a miracle that anything survives in my house. But you know, Alina, thinking back on everything we've talked about today, it's like we've been building a little map.
I love that image. A map for navigating all the noise of daily life and finding the good stuff. We've covered quite a lot, haven't we? From your lost socks to that mystery postcard I received.
It's funny how those small things stay with you. I'm usually so bad at remembering things. My wife says I can't even find the milk in the fridge when it's right in front of me. But I think I'll actually remember these stories.
That's the power of small wins. They stick because they feel real. We talked about how a good day doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs those tiny triumphs, like you finally baking a cake that actually had some height.
Exactly, even if it was a bit burnt. But you know, I was thinking, for our listeners who are practicing their English, sometimes it's hard to figure out how to actually share these stories. It's one thing to feel happy, but it's another thing to talk about it in a new language.
You're so right. Having the right words can make you feel much more confident. So why don't we give them a few sentence starters? These are like keys that help you open up a conversation.
I love that. I need all the keys I can get. What's a good way to start telling someone about a small win?
A very natural one is the highlight of my week was. It's simple, but it tells the other person exactly what you want to share. For example, the highlight of my week was finally fixing that loose handle on my cupboard.
Oh, that's a good one. The highlight of my week was... I could say, the highlight of my week was finally finding that $5 bill in my old coat.
Perfect. And what if something happens that makes you really, really happy? Like more than just a little win.
Maybe when my dog actually listens to me for once. I was over the moon when he finally learned to sit without me having to give him 3 treats.
There it is. I was over the moon when is such a classic English idiom. It means you were incredibly happy. I was over the moon when I saw that tiny new leaf on my plant this morning.
I need to get used to using that one. It sounds much more exciting than just saying I was happy. How about you, listeners? Can you try one? Think of something that happened recently. The highlight of my week was... Go on, say it out loud right now.
I hope they're actually doing it. It really helps the words stick. And you know, James, it's also about how we talk to others. When you run into a friend or a neighbor, you can help them find their small wins too.
How? By asking them if they've lost any socks lately?
Maybe, but you could just ask, what's been the best part of your day? Or any good news lately? It's a great way to catch up and keep the conversation positive.
I like that. It's a lot better than just complaining about the traffic or the weather. It's like we're helping each other look at the map we built today.
Exactly. It's about human connection, like that family who gave you tea when you were lost. They didn't need a lot of words to make you feel like you had a win that day.
They really didn't. I guess the map is simpler than I thought. Notice the small stuff, use your sentence starters, and ask others about their highlights. I just have to make sure I don't lose this map in my kitchen junk drawer.
Don't worry, James. I'll help you organize that junk drawer eventually. But for now, let's step into my vocabulary corner. This is the part of the show where we look closer at some of the phrases we use today, so our listeners can use them too.
I'm ready. I've got my notebook out. What is the first one on the list?
The first one is to figure out. To figure out. This is a phrasal verb we use when we talk about finding an answer or understanding something that was confusing. It's like solving a puzzle in your head.
Oh, I use that one a lot. For example, I spent 20 minutes this morning trying to figure out how to open the new bag of dog food without a pair of scissors.
That sounds frustrating. For me, I'm still trying to figure out why my cat prefers to sleep on a cardboard box instead of the expensive bed I bought her.
Cats are a mystery. What's next?
Next is a lovely idiom, to make someone's day. To make someone's day. We say this when something happens that makes a person feel very happy for the rest of the day. It's usually a small, kind gesture.
I remember that one. Like when my wife left that cup of coffee for me. It really made my day because I was feeling so tired.
Exactly. And for me, seeing that tiny new leaf on my plant made my day. It gave me a little boost of energy that lasted all morning.
That's a great one. Do you have anything that describes being even happier?
I do. How about on cloud 9? On cloud 9. If you are on cloud 9, you are extremely happy or excited about something. It's like you are floating because you feel so good.
I was on cloud 9 when my cake finally came out of the oven and it wasn't flat. I was so proud.
I can imagine. And I was on cloud 9 when I finally finished painting the hallway in my house. It took so long, but the result was perfect.
It's a great feeling. What about when we hear something we like?
That leads us to music to my ears. Music to my ears. We use this when we hear some information or a sound that makes us very pleased. It doesn't have to be actual music. It just has to be good news.
Oh, I love that. When the mechanic told me my car didn't need any expensive repairs, it was music to my ears.
Definitely. For me, hearing the sound of the rain on the roof when I'm safe inside with a book is music to my ears. It's so relaxing.
I agree. Okay, I think we have time for one more.
Let's do to run into. To run into. This means to meet someone by chance when you didn't plan to see them. You just happened to be in the same place at the same time.
Right, like when I ran into that man at the farm when I was lost. I didn't plan to meet him, but I'm so glad I did.
Or like last Tuesday, when I ran into my old neighbor at the supermarket. We hadn't talked in months, so it was a nice surprise.
These are so useful, Elena. I feel like I have a much better map for my English conversations now.
I'm glad to hear it, James. It's all about taking those small words and building your confidence one step at a time.
Well, Elena, I think it's about time for us to head out. I need to go home and see if my dog has found any more of my socks to hide.
Good luck with that, James. And I should probably get back and check in on my cat. She's probably sitting by her bowl right now, wondering where I am.
Before we go, we want to give you all a little homework task. Don't worry, it's not the stressful kind. We want to hear from you.
Exactly. We want you to share the wealth of your good news. How about you, listeners? Can you tell us one small win or one piece of good news from your own life this week? It can be anything at all.
Maybe you finally figured out how to fix something in your kitchen, or you ran into an old friend at the park. Just one sentence in the comments would be great. I'm really looking forward to reading them.
Sharing your positive moments is a wonderful way to pass on a good mood to someone else who might be having a tough day. It reminds us that we are all in this together.
I feel that. And while you go about your week, please remember to stay kind to yourselves. If you made a mistake in English today, or if you feel a bit behind, don't worry about it. You're doing the work, and that's a win.
That's so true, James. Be kind to yourselves and be kind to each other. Every small effort counts toward a big journey.
Thank you so much for listening to us today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, Elena.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone. Have a fantastic day.